The Trump campaign bets big on Minnesota and Virginia with new field offices. What is up, people of the internet? It is me, Real American, back again with a new video, and today it is time to talk about the 2024 presidential election because we've been hearing for months how the Trump campaign is trying to win Minnesota and Virginia, and we all thought that, okay, that's just campaign speak. They don't actually believe they're going to win Minnesota or Virginia. Well, it turns out no. It appears they actually believe there is a pathway through Minnesota and Virginia as well. They just opened a bunch of field offices in both states. Yeah. They're not just spending time there with like a rally or two. No. They actually are investing millions of dollars in both states. Now, before we continue with today's video, I hope you enjoy these type of videos. If you do, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, follow the social media accounts in the description down below, and of course, join the channel today. Again, folks, all support is greatly appreciated, and yeah. Now, let us get into it, because I cannot actually believe that Trump's actually trying to put time and effort into both states. Again, I thought, okay, they might do a rally or two in both states, but they weren't actually going to invest tens of millions of dollars, and well, turns out that was false, so let's get into it. The Trump campaign is expanding its ground game in Minnesota and Virginia as it puts President Biden's campaign on its heels in traditionally Democratic states, according to a new internal campaign memo. Yeah, so they're putting time and effort into both states. Now, Virginia hasn't been Democrat for 60 years, but for the past like 20 years or so, it has been a Democrat state. But Minnesota, on the other hand, yeah, it's been a Democrat state for like, what, 50 years now? It hasn't voted Republican since the 70s, at least at the presidential level. So, to call it a Democrat state is an understatement. It is a Democrat state through and through. And, well, it seems like Republicans, at least the Trump campaign, believes they have a pathway in Minnesota and Virginia. The memo, obtained exclusively by CBS News Friday, details that the campaign is in the process of securing leases for 8 offices in Minnesota and 11 campaign offices in Virginia. So this isn't just, oh, they have 1 campaign office in both states and that's it. Nope. They have 8 in Minnesota and 11 in Virginia. To me, this is a sign that they actually believe that, hey, we could actually win Minnesota or Virginia. Because why would you put that much effort into states that you think you have no chance in? Why? It's because they actually believe that, hey, maybe there's a pathway in Virginia and Minnesota. Now, I'm not saying Trump's going to win either. For crying out loud, these states voted for Biden by like 10 points in 2020. So I highly doubt Trump's going to win both states or either of them. But either way, the fact that he's pulling so good in both of them as of now should tell you that at the bare minimum, they're going to be much closer than they were back in 2020. So they're thinking, okay, if we're really doing this good in Virginia and Minnesota, we should invest heavily in both states because what's the worst that could happen? Seriously. If we lose Minnesota by a point, okay, whatever. We forced the Biden campaign to spend a bunch of money there. Same thing in Virginia. Plus, that could help with down-ballot races. So it's like, okay, even if we don't win them, it's still a win-win. But it sounds like they really believe, yeah, we can in fact win Virginia or Minnesota. Trump Force 47 is a nickname for the joint effort between the Trump campaign and the RNC's grassroots volunteer canvassing program. In addition to the offices, the campaign has hired new staff to manage its ground game in Virginia and Minnesota and is building out teams. By putting Minnesota and Virginia on the map, the campaign believes it could add at least 12 additional pathways to 270, according to the memo, which was written by James Blair, the campaign's political director. And yeah, if you were to win Minnesota or even Virginia, you're winning the presidency. I just highly doubt that if you win either state, you're going to lose. And they understand this. If they win either state, they got it. There's no way they lose. I mean, think about it. Those are Biden plus 10 states we're talking about, not Biden plus 2. So if Trump is winning Virginia, do you really think he's losing states like Pennsylvania, Georgia, Michigan, or Wisconsin? I highly doubt it. Same thing with Minnesota. I just don't see him losing the election if he wins either state. Trump has had his eye on flipping Minnesota and Virginia after several internal campaign polls allegedly show that Mr. Biden's weakening favorability in those states, coupled with Trump's historical gains with black and Hispanic voters, could spell an opening for the former president. And yeah, that's why they're doing it. Because their own polling shows both states are very close. And I have heard, and this isn't a 100% guarantee, but there's rumors going around that the Biden campaign, they have the same polling, that he's doing awful in Virginia and Minnesota. And that's why they're forced to suspend in both states, because there's a possibility they can lose one of the two. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but the fact that the Biden campaign is forced to suspend in both states is a win for Trump. It just is, because even if you don't win either state, it's still a major L for Biden, because guess what? That's wasted money. That's money that could have went to states like Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, but were locked up in a Democrat state like Virginia. However, a Republican has not won Minnesota since Richard Nixon in 1972. Trump came close to turning the state red in 2016, but ultimately lost to Hillary Clinton by less than 2 percentage points. And yeah, in 2016, it was very close. Now, to be fair, the only reason it was within 2 in 2016 was because of Gary Johnson being on the ballot. He took a bunch of votes away from Clinton, and other third-party candidates did. But either way, the fact that we have RFK, Jill Stein, Cornel West, etc. running in 2024, that's not good for Biden, because if Clinton struggled with Johnson and Stein on the ballot, what do you think's going to happen with Biden going against RFK and others? Seriously. That's why the Trump campaign believes they have a pathway here. Not because they're going to win 55% of the vote, but the fact that they're at 45 to 46% of the vote, according to the polls. That's the polling right now. I'm not saying that's true, but that's the metrics we got as of now. And Biden is at like 45% as well, because RFK, Jill Stein, etc., they're taking a good chunk of the vote away from Biden. And that's why Trump could win the state. Same thing in Virginia. Not because he's going to get the majority of the vote, just because of people like Stein taking votes away from Biden. Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin, a Republican, met with Trump last week at Trump National Golf Club in Northern Virginia to discuss the conditions that could help boost his standing in the state. Youngkin has also shared polling numbers that allegedly showed Trump is competitive with Mr. Biden in the state. And I think Youngkin is a reason why Trump is doing so good in Virginia. I'm not saying he's the only reason, but let's face it. The fact that he won the governorship in 2021, that was a big deal. And it still is. Because it showed that, while yes, it's a down ballot race, it showed that these voters are willing to vote Republican. And that was not a low turnout race. For Virginia governor standards, that was a very high turnout race. Now, Youngkin obviously is a very well-liked guy, and it is a down-ballot race, so you cannot just say, well, Youngkin won Virginia, therefore Trump will. No. But Youngkin showed it was possible. And the thing is, the Youngkin coalition wasn't that different from the Trump coalition. Now, to be clear, Youngkin obviously did way better in places like Loudoun, places like Fairfax, etc. But he did better than Trump in even the rural parts of the state. So he showed that it was possible to win Virginia without having to do 50 points better in Fairfax, for example. He didn't do 50 points better there. He did like 10 to 15 points better. But you could argue the only reason he won was because he did better than Trump in the rest of the state. But not only that, Youngkin is well liked in the state. Like, his approval rating's like 55% or something. For a Republican in a Democrat state like Virginia, and I know, it's a governorship. It's completely different. But he is well liked in the state. Much more liked than Biden. I do think if Trump campaigns with Youngkin, it could help him dramatically, because if people like Youngkin, and he supports Trump, and I'm not saying Youngkin's gonna give Trump the state easily, I'm not saying that at all, but I don't see any problems with Youngkin campaigning for Trump. Like, just do 1 or 2 rallies for him and do a bunch of down-ballot races. I don't see the problem with that. I really think that's how you win Virginia. You have someone like Youngkin barnstorm the state for you. Regardless of the electoral histories, Trump has been keen on visiting states he hasn't won in the past in an effort to make the Biden campaign spend resources in what are typically considered safe states for his re-election. The DNC has invested about $500,000 into Minnesota, and that's the whole point of this. If Trump is to win both states, or even just one of them, he has the presidency locked down. There's nothing Biden can do to stop that, because at that point, Trump's already winning Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Georgia, wherever, before he's winning Minnesota or Virginia. But the fact that Democrats are forced to spend this much money into Minnesota, it's like if Republicans had to spend $1 million into South Carolina, a Trump plus 12 state or whatever. That would be a disaster for them. That's a waste of money. The fact that Democrats are spending in Virginia and Minnesota should tell you that, hey, maybe there's some legitimacy to the claim that Trump is doing way better in both states. The Biden campaign, meanwhile, has 6 field offices in Virginia and has held multiple grassroots events. Yeah, Biden has 6 field offices. That's half of what Trump has in Virginia. Remember when everyone was saying the field offices for Biden are going to win him the election? Remember that? Remember when they were saying, oh my goodness, he has so many field offices, he's going to win. Trump has more field offices in Virginia than Biden does. A Democrat state? Listen, I'm not saying Trump is going to win either state, but the fact that his campaign is so confident that they can actually win either state should tell you something. This isn't just, campaign speak, like Trump's going to win New York. That's obviously a campaign speak. No one's actually saying he's going to win that state. But the fact that he's investing this much time and effort into both Minnesota and Virginia should tell you there might be some legitimacy to the idea that both states might be competitive come November. And according to the polling as of now, yeah, they are. Now, am I saying put everything in the kitchen sink in both states? No. Focus on Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Nevada, and Arizona, and Georgia before these two. But if it turns out the numbers are true and Trump is doing so good in the rest of the states, expand the electoral map. Make the Biden campaign make tough decisions. Either defend Virginia or defend states like Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. If you're at that point where you have to decide between defending a safe state or a swing state, you're not in a good position. That's like if Trump had to defend South Carolina, if he had to defend a state like Arkansas. It's like, okay, if he has to make a decision between those states or a state like Georgia or Arizona, I guarantee you every Democrat would be saying, it's over for the Trump campaign. He has no pathway to victory. Same thing applies to Biden's campaign if he has to, in fact, defend these states. Again, I am not saying Trump is going to win either state, but at this point in time, it looks like both states will be much more competitive than they were back in 2020. Anyways, folks, thank you so much for watching. If you guys did enjoy this video, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, follow the social media accounts in the description down below, and of course, join the channel today. Godspeed to all of you.